What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, we're back at it once again with another addition to the Battle of the Build series. Now this will be volume 13 of the series, and one thing that I must say is that I really like the direction at which the Battle of the Build series is going. Now, you know, the series itself kind of started off pretty slowly, but as time has gone on, I mean, I'm getting more and more participants, more and more volunteers, and a lot more ideas with regard to builds. Right, and I think that's a good thing because I don't know, to the extent that you guys are kind of new to the channel, or you're kind of haven't been subscribed for a while and don't really know much about my channel. One of the main things about my channel is that my focus is to spark player creativity with regard to builds. Now I know a lot of you guys, you may watch videos and you may like it for entertainment purposes. You know, you like to see people, getting beat up or beating up gankers and all of that, and I think all of that is fine and dandy. Right, but number one, my channel is all about commentary, and number two, the goal, like I said before, is to spark creativity with regard to builds. And this is the main reason why I created the Battle of the Build series. As a matter of fact, I even have a strength build series basically for the same reason. Because at the time, back when I first started, there were just way too many Darkwood Grain Ring / Katana Pyro users. I mean, it was almost like everyone wielded a katana. Right, so I created the Battle of the Build series to kind of stimulate ideas and imagination, in addition to putting together the Strength Build series, as well as, myself using various weapons, halberds, dexterity weapons. And when I say dexterity, I'm not only talking about katanas. Various dexterity weapons and various strength weapons. If you look at a lot of my videos, especially a lot of some of the ones in the more recent months, this is what you'll see, right? A wide variety of weapon usage. May it be forest hunting, may it be montages, or may it even be, formal matches such as these. So, I really like the direction that the Battle of the Build series is going. So, I just kind of want to add my 2 cents with regard to that. Now, before we start talking about builds, I'd like to go ahead and offer my thanks and show of appreciation to good old FulThrootle's. Now, when I first met up with FulThrootle's, and actually he's a streamer, right? So hopefully after this, you guys will get an opportunity, hopefully, to check out and support his stream. He's one of the twitch.tv streamers. I'll go ahead and add the link to his stream in the description box. Now, I'm not really sure if he has YouTube. I mean, as far as I know, he only streams, but I'll go ahead and either do my own homework or, ask him. And if he does have a YouTube channel, I'll also add that in the description box. So hopefully you guys can go ahead and check out some good streams, participate in the chats, and watch some good uploads to the extent that he does have a YouTube account. Now let's kind of talk about his build. Now he didn't really give me a title to the build, but I think it is deserving of, let's see, what should I call it? I think I like to call this build the Soul Hunter build, right? And when I first saw the build, it was basically him doing a lot of random invasions while using it, right? And it wasn't just one day that I watched him use this build. It was actually a number of days, and every single time I watched his stream, while watching him use the build, I always thought to myself, like, man, that's a pretty effective build. Until I think it was like last week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I'm like, dude, I kind of wish this wasn't really a build that was limited to random invasions, because I would love to showcase it. And he's like, well, dude, I mean, it's pretty much mainly an invasions build because, I kind of use the environment to my advantage and a lot of other things that I've incorporated with regard to the build. He said, but I mean, I'll give it a shot. So, once he told me that he was willing to go ahead and showcase the build, I was more than happy to go ahead and set up these series of matches. Now, this is an awesome build in my personal opinion. Not only awesome with regard to his performance, but I mean awesome period. He kind of got everything going on with the build, and it's actually pretty hard to fight against. Mainly because, to the extent that any of you guys may have either used a great bow or have fought against a person that uses a great bow. Number one, this build requires a lot of patience to use. It's not one of those builds where you can just run in and start R1 spamming, chase somebody down with your little buff. It's not one of those builds. This is a build that requires patience. It requires attention to detail with regard to your opponent, because not only do you have to read them, you also have to time your attacks, especially when you're using the great bow. Now, why do I call it a hunter build? Number one, he's using a great bow. Kind of hunters use bows, when you're kind of shooting deer or whatever it is that you're doing. So that's for long range. For short range, he has the, as you guys can see, the gold tracer. To supplement his short range offensive strategies, he also uses the Murakumo. Now, I don't know if he's able to carry all these things at once or he does a quick menu switch, but regardless of the situation, he does very well at incorporating all three weapons in his attack strategies. I think this is an awesome build. Now, this is one of those situations where I was just kind of everywhere. And I think he was more so in control of the series than I was. As a matter of fact, I didn't even feel focused in this series. I didn't feel focused at all. And I think that's one of the strengths to his build. In a lot of cases, when you notice someone with a great bow, because they're just kind of standing there aiming at you, you kind of want to hurry up and get the fight on. So in a lot of cases, you might find yourself running up to the user, trying to either knock him off his square, get in a quick hit. But you're basically feeding into what the build is designed to do. It's a hunter build, right? He draws you into him. If he can't get you with a bow, he draws you into him. And once he does, just like he just demonstrated for himself, he'll shoot you, right, with the great bow, or he'll lure you in for the BS. Because, for a lot of these guys, the bait and switch, they only use one of the bait and switch tactics. That being, you hurry up, switch your bow, and you parry. But the second bait and switch tactic is that, as you see them approaching, you will go ahead, switch out your bow, pull back on your controller, counter circle them, and BS. It's an awesome tactic. But for some reason, I guess pairing looks more groovy, right? So when people use the bait and switch tactic, they limit it to the parry method. But he does a wonderful job at incorporating the backstab method with regard to the bait and switch tactic. I was everywhere. If you guys will notice, I basically don't really know what to do. And I think that's a good thing with regard to his build, because it puts him in control. In other words, he almost controls when you come in, right? When you will attempt to swing. And if you, open yourself up at the wrong time, he's going to knock you down with a great bow. Or he'll just counter circle you for the BS, right? With the bait and switch tactic. If he can't do that, he'll go ahead and pull out his high-speed Murakumo and tighten you up with that. And many of us know the potential of the Murakumo. So, FulThrootle's Soul Hunter build, in my personal opinion, is an awesome build. But like I said before, it definitely requires patience. For a lot of you guys that have little to no patience, you're used to having your little katana and just running around R1 spamming, or running R1 and dashing R2 type of things. Listen, you're not going to do well with this build. But if you're the type of person that, you know, you have patience. You know, it's not all about getting in and running in real quick and killing. You will definitely do awesome. Now, another good thing about good old FulThrootle, he's kind of like me with regard to parrying. If you notice, he is not doing that run-up technique, you know, where he's just kind of running up to you and parry. He is checking out my patterns, because if you notice, he's not parry spamming. And that's another thing that I like about his style. Because, you know, a lot of these guys, that run-up technique, it's almost so routine that you can almost pick it out as clear as day. And as a matter of fact, I have another battle of the builds, and actually volume 12 is dedicated to dual wielding builds, right? And like I said in that particular video, I think I'm going to have sub videos to the dual wielding series, right? So in other words, the series that I had against Leftover Pie was like, you know, Battle of the Builds volume 12A. Well, I have another one coming up, right? And it's going to be volume 12B. And in that particular video, you guys are going to notice how many times this guy telegraphs himself with that run up and parry method. And every single time I punish him with the BS. Right? But that's one thing that good old FulThrootle does not do. He is not spamming the parry, which is an awesome thing. Right? Because, you know, I don't really know what he's going to do. Either he's going more Akumo. Now, one thing I do know is that if I get in close enough, he's going to go ahead and pull out the gold tracer, which is an awesome deterrent. But see, one good thing I like about the way he uses the gold tracer, as opposed to the vast majority of people I run into, you know, he's not just, you know, running up to you and R1 spamming while basically stacking poise. No, he basically uses it to back you off of him. And once you back off, he goes right back into the tactic with the great bow. And I think that's awesome. Right? And if you don't get enough of that, he'll go ahead and incorporate the Murakumo. So, I mean, now that I've given a quick explanation of his overall build, let's just kind of talk about his strengths and weaknesses. So let's talk about strengths. Number one, I think this is kind of like a jack of all trades build. Right? You have a great bow that you're using. You have the strength of the Murakumo. In addition to that, you can engage in short, kind of close quarters, you know, what they might call close quarter combat, for lack of better words, with regard to the gold tracer. I mean, that's a combination right there that you just simply cannot beat. The Murakumo is strong enough. The gold tracer, I don't think I need to say anything about that. And the good variety combination with regard to the great bow, I think it is very creative with regard to his build. So I think it's awesome. Now, with those pros, I also have to talk about the cons. Now, with regard to cons, now, you know, because I'm not really using the build, I don't really know the cons from his perspective, obviously. But I will kind of talk about cons based upon what I see. I think the only con to this build, as far as what I can tell, is that the user would definitely need patience. Like I said before, this is not one of those builds where you can just run up to somebody, chase them down, like a lot of these buff users do, or katana users do, where they just kind of hawk you down and, you know, R1 spam you to death. It's not one of those situations where you can do that. You definitely need patience. Mainly, you will need patience to go ahead and use that great bow correctly. And that was a nice parry right there. And as a matter of fact, he parried me twice in this match. That was pretty good. Right? And I mean, not too often do you see guys using that Murakumo, and I think he's doing a good job with it. And that was another reason why I really wanted to showcase the build, because number one, not too often do you see guys using the great bow. In addition to that, you really don't see a lot of guys using the Murakumo. Alright, so I think that pretty much covers everything with regard to his build. I talked about the build overall, in addition to an attempt to cover the strengths and weaknesses as I see them. Now, let's go ahead and dedicate these last few minutes to talking about my build. It's really nothing special about my build. This is my third Xbox build. I figured that I'll go ahead and include a caster build. Actually, this might be one of two. I'm kind of thinking about creating one more caster build, and it's mainly dedicated to Pyromancy, as you guys can see. Now, number one, I really do not dedicate a lot of time to caster builds. I really don't. That's probably one of my faults. Now, out of all of my caster builds, I kind of like my Faith Mage the most. After that, I would probably say I like my second hybrid, which is my Pyro Cleric. But pure, a pure caster, I don't really have any of those. A pure intelligence build or a pure faith build. And obviously, I don't have a pure Pyro. So this is my shot at using a Pyromancer build. Now, the downside to trying to use this build while fighting good old the Soul Hunter build is the fact that with him being in control of the match, I didn't really have time to, attempt to use any Pyromancies. Number one, because he was using the Great Bow. If I were to not use the shield and have the, basically just have my Pyromancy glove at the ready, I basically would have been open to Great Bow attacks, right? And if you guys paid any attention to the tracking of the Great Bow, I mean, just trying to unlock and run around it, that just wasn't going to cut it, because I tried that a few times. And before I really did anything, I would kind of notice the tracking of his bow on my character, and the tracking was just too well. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if it was the bow. I don't know what ring combinations he was using, but the tracking was so well that I really didn't feel confident taking off the shield and just having my Pyromancy glove at the ready. So this was definitely not a good opportunity for me to try to brush up on my Pyromancy techniques. Now, perhaps sometime in the future, and I'm not even necessarily saying in video showcases, but obviously sometimes during random invasions or other setup matches, I will be able to get a lot more practice with regard to my Pyromancer. But because good old FulThrootle's did such an awesome job with the Soul Hunter build, I basically, as a matter of fact, I think if you count the times that I cast the Pyromancy, it's probably no more than 5 times, right? And this video is more than 20 minutes. So just think about it. I'm basically so lost that out of a 20+ minute video, I don't even have time to basically use my build for the way that it should have been used, right? So I think that was another good thing with regard to his build. Now, if I had to do this all over again, I think I would probably use my Faith Mage. Why do I say that? Mainly because I wouldn't have to worry about him pulling out his bow and just standing there, because think about it. The Faith Mage has not only Wrath of the Gods, not only Force, but it also has Soul Spear, Crystal Soul Spear, Dark Bead, and then, when I'm just going full hollow mode, it has the potential to use Pursuers. All that in addition to the Butterfly Horn Spear, right? So, that Faith Mage is basically a jack of all trades. Number two, when you incorporate the Chameleon with it, it would be very difficult for him to utilize his bow because he cannot lock onto me. So, if I had to do this match all over again, I definitely would use my Faith Mage against his build, because just trying to go pure melee, he's basically drawing you into him. And basically when he draws you into him, that gives him control, and you basically have lost all of your control. And I think, like I said before, that's a good thing about not only his build, but the way he utilizes this build. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Talked about his build, strength and weaknesses, talked about my build. I didn't really go over the strength and weaknesses of my build. Mainly because most people already know about Pyros, but I guess for the sake of the Battle of the Build series, I can go over it. Strengths, Pyros are, they're relatively strong, especially when you have the fairy ears going on. You know, even some guys, when they're going full hollow mode, they might incorporate the power within, and sometimes even the bellowing crest ring, which boosts castings. Right. So I mean, pyromancies are strong. You can just go ahead and use a pyromancies along with your dexterity weapons. Now, for a lot of you guys that may be new to Dark Souls and may not necessarily know, your cast speed of the pyromancy is improved with dexterity. Right? It stops at 45. So 45 is the max. You're not going to get any faster casting. You know, when you go from, you know, like you may say to yourself, like, well, if I get a faster casting at 45, I would definitely get a faster casting at 99. It's already been tested, tried, and proved. You're not going to get any faster. No difference. 45 is the cap. You want the fastest cast speed with regard to pyromancy? Go ahead and increase your dexterity attribute up to 45. Now, that only increases the speed of castings. It does not increase the speed of your surges, your poison mist, your acid surge, or your toxic mist. That's not going to go any faster. Nor will the casting time of, you know, what is that, iron flesh and anything like that. It's not going to increase the casting speed of those. So only the fireballs, the tempest, that's the only thing that's basically going to get a benefit out of the casting stat. I mean the dexterity attribute. Now, if you guys kind of want a visual, there's kind of like a YouTube video out there where some guys have dedicated time to showcasing the different speeds at which pyromancy is thrown at various basically phases of dexterity increases. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Now, limitations. Basically, the only limitations with regard to my build is the amount of dedication and practice that you will give to the build. I mean, to the extent that you guys are familiar with the channel, you guys will know that I'm basically a pure melee build. Now, for a lot of you guys like to get super technical on every little thing, and you're, you know, just kind of like a police watchdog for, you know, for my commentaries. When I say melee, I understand that only means weapons. Okay, but I also include bows and whatnot. Right, because I had some guy tell me, well, technically you're not a pure melee because you use a bow too. Okay, dude, for all you wise guys out there, you know what I'm talking about. So in other words, let me define my term. When I say pure melee, I mean PvP without using any casting. That's about as simple as you're going to get it. Like I said, that is my definition relative to Dark Souls PvP. Right? That's basically the only type of builds that I use. Sword, shield, knife, halberd, spear, whatever the case may be, it is very rare that I use castings. So, I mean, my main weakness with regard to the pyromancy is basically the lack of experience, time, and dedication to improving at throwing pyromancies. Now, you know, you got some guys out there who are awesome at it, mainly because they've dedicated a lot of time. Right, I think I'm pretty decent at, you know, using weapons, but that's only because, like I said before, I've dedicated a lot of time. So to the extent that I will take the time to dedicate as much time to pyromancies as I have dedicated time to, you know, just pure melee, I think with a lot of time I'll eventually get better at it. Alright, so that's basically it with regard to his build, my build, limitations, the whole nine. Alright. So, now, here's just a quick demonstration to his build. Now, that is just to show you that just kicking him and immediately following up when attack will not inflict any damage on him. Right? If you guys just saw, you can go ahead and rewind, you know, go back a few seconds. But I think that's another good thing because, you know, to the extent that you say, I'll just kick this guy and attack, for whatever reason, it will not follow up with an attack. And I have a Balder side sword, right? And I used a quick R1, but for whatever reason, it wasn't fast enough after kicking him out of his animation to inflict damage. So, I mean, that's another good benefit to his build. I mean, it's basically like if you don't just run up to him and hit him in time, I mean, you're not going to hit him to the extent that you kick him out of his animation. I mean, maybe if you use a spear or something with a longer reach, but definitely not with something like a boulder side sword or similar. Alright guys, well, this is pretty much it for volume 13 of the Battle of the Build series. Like I said before, I'd like to offer my thanks and appreciation to good old FulThrootle's. You guys, please go ahead, take the time to check out his Twitch stream. I'll go ahead and include the link to his Twitch stream in the description box. And like I said before, I'm not really sure if he has a YouTube, but if he does, and to the extent that he does take the time to upload videos, I'll go ahead and link his YouTube account in the description box as well. I'll go ahead and post that link. Alright guys, well, this is pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for next time. Martyrs Brigade.